All right. The Economic Collapse blog is covering Michael Snyder's site. This Hurricane Irma, Category 6, possible? There's such a thing? Not exactly, but they may need to create a new category. Well, not, or level, anyways. Category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to add a 6. This is some webbot stuff right here. You know, storms more powerful than we've ever seen. Things like that. It's been warning about this kind of stuff. The flooding that we're going to see. Been warning about it. Yeah, look at the last hurricane recently. Anyways, if Hurricane Irma becomes the strongest hurricane in history, it could wipe out entire cities off the map. You know what just came into my mind? Webbot Global Coastal Event. Could a hurricane of this magnitude do such damage as it runs into the coast that the entire coastline essentially is reformed? And I'm gonna give you some. I don't know if this is a pro tip or whatever. I don't even know what you want to call it. You know the eastern side of Florida, near Vero Beach, down to Fort Pierce area, down the coast several miles, that kind of thing. Literally 30, 40, 50. Well, maybe not that quick soon. Or I know some of them aren't that far. Just call it within 100 feet offshore. The 1715 Spanish fleet shipwrecked during a hurricane. I think 4 or 5 of the ships have never been found. I personally believe they're further north, same coast, right off of Florida. But the other 4 or 5 have been found, and literally treasure washes up on shore every now and then. Coins, after nice big storms come in and they cut away at the coastline or the back berms and stuff. They cut away that stuff because your metal detector can't detect, 10 feet down. It can detect, maybe a couple of foot down, a coin, a single coin. But it's not going to go 3, 4, 5 feet down on one coin for the most part. Now, if there's a clump of coins, sure, it could go a little deeper, but it probably ain't going 5 or 6 feet. Anyways, when these storms hit, people rush over there as fast as they can to start combing the beach. Don't even worry about the water, the coastline, because number one, you're not really allowed to metal detect in the water. Very strict guidelines. But you can outside of the water, which is the entire beach side, and it's all public access back there. Problem is, after a hurricane, it's going to be on lockdown by the police. You're not going to be able to get back there due to the damage. What I was going to say, though, is if somehow you were able to get over there after the hurricane, as soon as things are calm enough, like immediately as soon as things are calm enough, go over there. Even if it's still raining and the clouds, it doesn't matter. You stand a very good chance to find some seriously, pricey treasure. Not kidding. And if this storm comes up on the East Coast and creates a global coastal event, if you will, wiping away the shorelines, things like that, which was described in the previous Webbot reports from a long time ago about that global coastal event, things like that. I can only imagine what might be found. Not that it would be a good thing to be over there, because you probably would be there saying, "Where the hell's the shore? Where were the houses? I used to know where the shoreline was. I don't even know because nothing's here." Like, it could be that devastating. So on one side, people might go treasure hunting right on the beach. On the other side, if this thing hits, and all the McMansion $1 million houses that run up and down that coastline, multi-million-dollar houses, each one of them. Again, they're right on the coast. Of course they are. You think the Texas thing is going to be bad, which we still don't know the cost yet on that? What was it, Hurricane Herman or whatever it was called? You don't even want to know. The east coast of Florida, as Vanilla Ice says, A1A, Beachfront Avenue. Oh, the devastation. The utter devastation. And then you have what's on the other side of that, A1A, if you will. Not multi-million-dollar houses per se lined up, but there are some back there. But they're still expensive because there's the waterway back there, and those who are on that waterway, those are high-priced houses for obvious reasons. Talk about an absolute wiping out of the insurance industry. It could be a thing. They got to deal with Texas. Now they've got to deal with Florida. And what if a third one comes? A triple whammy. Oh my goodness. Right. And I don't know. Are we steering these storms around? We've got the technology to move storms around, right? And that's what they say we do. Why are we letting these things hit landfall to begin with? Why don't we just steer them out of the way? Put them off on the right side of the whole United States, the East Coast, and just let them fizzle out to sea, whatever. Go up north where it gets colder and just fizzle on out. Why do they keep hitting land? You know? Anyways, meteorologists have been shocked at how rapidly Hurricane Irma has been strengthening, and they are already warning that if it hits the United States as a high-level Category 5 storm, the devastation would be absolutely unprecedented. Of course, we are already dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey, and many experts are telling us that the economic damage done by that storm will easily surpass any other disaster in all of U.S. history. But there is a very real possibility that Hurricane Irma could be even worse. According to the National Hurricane Center, at 5 p.m. on Friday, Irma already had sustained winds of 130 miles per hour, but it is still very early, and as you will see below, next week, it is expected to potentially develop into a Category 5 storm with winds of 180 miles per hour or more. I suppose that it is appropriate that such a powerful storm has a very powerful name. In Old German, the name Irma actually means war goddess. You know how the elite like to put it in your face. I'm going to just ask the question. What are the chances that this particular storm that might turn into a Category 6, which doesn't even exist, and it's time to use the name Irma? You know, on the little name list. Just coincidental. The name Irma is a German baby name. In German, the meaning of the name Irma is universal from the Old German Irmin, war goddess. Irma began forming on Wednesday, and it intensified at a faster rate than any storm that we've seen in nearly 20 years. Hurricane Irma formed early Wednesday in the warm waters off the coast of West Africa and took just 30 hours to strengthen to a Category 3. That's the fastest intensification rate in almost 2 decades. By Friday afternoon, the storm had also grown noticeably larger in size, with a well-defined eye, a classic sign of a strong hurricane. Though Irma poses no immediate threat to land, the outlook is ominous. In the Atlantic, Irma is expected to pass through some abnormally warm waters, the primary fuel source for storm systems. The official National Hurricane Center forecast says it will remain at major hurricane status for at least the next 5 days. And in a worst case scenario, Irma could eventually grow into one of the strongest hurricanes ever seen in the Atlantic. So how powerful could Irma eventually become? According to Michael Ventris of the Weather Channel, Irma could easily become a super typhoon with sustained speeds of over 180 miles per hour. The scale we have right now really never envisioned storms that powerful. In fact, some have suggested that we need to add a Category 6 to describe the kind of superstorms that are now developing in the Atlantic. One of the reasons why Irma is so unique is because it is a Cape Verde hurricane. There are a few factors that worry hurricane forecasters more about this storm when compared to the myriad other tropical storms and hurricanes that tend to form in the Atlantic. First, it's a so-called Cape Verde storm. Having formed off the west coast of Africa, these storms tend to be the ones that go on to affect the U.S. after gathering strength for many days during their march across the ocean. For example, Hurricane Andrew, which was the most recent Category 5 to hit the U.S. in 1992, was a Cape Verde type storm. Because they begin at a relatively low altitude and move west rather than northwest, it can be harder for upper level winds blowing across North America to pick up and steer these types of storms away from the coast. Let us hope that this storm does get steered away from our coastlines at some point, but so far that is just not happening. Many hurricanes are often weakened by wind shear, but that hasn't or isn't happening to Irma either. In fact, fake news network CNN is reporting that Irma will remain in a low shear environment for the next several days. Basically, conditions are nearly ideal for a superstorm to develop. And if Irma does make it to the U.S., the destruction that it causes could be absolutely off the charts. Of course, at this point, there is no guarantee that it will ever reach the United States, but if it does, and if it is still a Category 5 storm when it arrives, we could be facing an event unlike anything that we've ever seen before, which would include the recent one in Texas. Do you remember Hurricane Katrina? Well, scientists know now that when it hit New Orleans, it had already been downgraded to just a low Category 3 storm. And Hurricane Harvey was just a Category 4 storm. If Hurricane Irma were to make landfall as a Category 5 storm with sustained winds of 180 miles per hour, it would rip buildings and everything else in its path to shreds. Next week, we shall find out what happens. Let us hope for the best, but let us also get prepared for the worst. Gotta agree with it, you know. Hey, fingers crossed, man. Hope. Well, I don't want that thing to hit land. I don't want to see some of this web-bot destruction that's been talking about coming true right before my eyes. I want those to be misses. No. He got those wrong. I don't want to see people's houses destroyed, the insurance rates skyrocketing. I remember when one of those storms came back, gosh, I don't even know, somewhere between 2004 and 10. It didn't even come up to Tampa, but we got some of the outer bands, you know, shingles and stuff. My insurance rates get jacked up. Whoa. Yo, hey, this is Jason at 4, if you will. We didn't file any claims. How come my rates went up? Just because of the amount of damage that was caused by the storm for the houses below, you know, southern part of Florida. But yeah, but I didn't make a claim. You know, I didn't cost you anything. Matter of fact, I had several shingles fly off my house. I decided I don't really want to make a claim, have my rates go up. But my rates are going up anyways. Yeah, you guys are allowed to just do that? Yeah, we're authorized to do that. State of Florida. Huh. I'll be damned. Heads, they win. Tails, you lose. Incredible. Take care.